I wrote about this briefly in a prior article in 2001. To recap, we moved into 455A Sackett Street when I was 14 years old, on April 1, 1998. From the moment we moved in, something was so not right. It was an incredibly dark apartment, though we should have been thrilled because it was the first apartment we'd ever had with more than one floor. There were 3 floors, including the basement, and it was nice, if you could ignore the feeling of someone standing just behind you, or staring at you wherever you went. Within 2 weeks of moving in, I was raped in my own bedroom by a man from the neighborhood. An elderly woman who'd lived right next door for most of our life informed us that no one had occupied our apartment for more than a year at a time since as long as she could remember. She also related that terrible tragedies befell all of said people, within only a few weeks of moving in, continuing through the day they moved out. Though we all had eerie feelings in the apartment, we'd not noticed anything too weird. The apartment was very uninviting, cold and damp. We tried to decorate it, warm it up a little, but nothing helped. Another thing was that no matter what we did, we could not get a phone installed. We had the phone company over about 4 times to fix the wires, but no matter what they did, we would get absolutely nothing, not even static, so we were pretty isolated. The entire time we were there, weird happenings continued. The ceiling above my brother's bed collapsed. The only reason he wasn't hurt is because he got up to use the bathroom. A fire started in my room, the fire department never determined why. If my friend hadn't stopped by and rang my bell, I would have continued sleeping. Within 5 minutes of answering the bell, my neighbor came out screaming that my room was on fire. I ran up and the entire back wall was in flames. I tried to put it out with a blanket and, unbeknownst to me, the door had closed behind me. It went from daylight to dark in 2 minutes and I started to pass out. Thankfully, my friend ran up and opened the door, carrying me down the stairs, or I would have been literal toast. After that, my neighbor confided in us that strange things have always gone on in my building. In the 30s or 40s, a fire had killed a little boy within a month of the family moving in. In the 60s, a couple were whacked by the mob because of some insidious affair. There were no records because the church's records had been burned in a fire, so we couldn't get any more information than what people said. There were other things that happened, a friend of mine coming into my apartment and seeing a little boy in burnt rags staring at her in my bathroom mirror. She ran out crying and refused to set foot in my door again. Another friend who slept over, note, both friends were not told of our experiences, and awoke in the middle of the night swearing that she saw a woman walk into my room through the door. My brother and I heard children crying and laughing one day downstairs, and when we tried to leave my mother's room, we were locked in, though there was no lock, for an hour before it finally opened. My mother was downstairs doing the laundry when the lights turned off in the basement and she felt a cold, scaly hand grab her shoulder. Needless to say, my dad did the laundry after that. Weird smells, sounds, and the feeling that something, or someone, did not want you there. That something bad was going to happen to you, and that you were not welcome at all. We moved out a year to the day later, as soon as we could find a new apartment. We found out some more after that. The people that moved in after us tried to renovate the basement, and found the body of a little boy in the wall. They left suddenly one night not too long after and never returned. Another couple moved in and left as inexplicably as the last. And so on and so forth to this day. Since then, we met a woman whom had gone to my mother's office. She's a nurse that works in a doctor's office because of a nervous condition. My mother noticed the address on her insurance card didn't match the one listed, and the woman explained she had only lived at 55A Sackett Street for a few months, and had to leave because her mother had died along with various other tragedies from the first week of moving in. My mother asked if the woman ever noticed anything weird. Well, the woman explained exactly what we had gone through, perhaps the cause of her condition? We are all fine now, happy to be out of there, and we've moved on. We still see our old neighbor once in a while, and she always says the best thing we ever did was move out of that god-forsaken house. Needless to say, we agree. We've not been haunted since, and life is good. If there is one thing we learned, I'd say it was to trust our instincts. If you get horrible vibes from a place, don't put it off as folly, it might just save you a whole lot of trouble. Hello again. The story I'm about to tell you happened very recently, like in the past handful of weeks. And it's still been going on even up till yesterday. Haven't really seen that coughing ghost see the sick man today, but he's been around since I was in like 4th grade. Anyway, here we go. I yawned. The day had moved slowly for me. Sitting there, staring upon piles of homework, I nearly gagged. Vengeful thoughts raced my mind as I scribbled in answers and skimmed through pages. Enough, I thought. I was getting so tired of it that I had to stand up and stretch. My girlfriend Crystal entered my mind. I'll call her and see what she's up to. I strolled out of my room and headed off to the right. Up the stairs I went, wishing someone could just come and collect my soul and take me from this hell. When I got the top of the stairs, instantly I could tell it was cloudy outside. The snow had fallen the past few weeks, non-stop. A friend of mine had wanted to go snowboarding the next time it snowed hard. But when the time came, he simply said, "Nah, it snowed too much," or something. I sneered at the thought as I picked up the phone and dialed Crystal's number. No more than 2 seconds after finishing I heard a raspy coughing downstairs. Not again. Go away, for crying out loud. Hello, Crystal said. Yo, how you doing? I replied. We began talking, until the coughing sound returned. What do you want from me? Who are you? One thing I always wondered was if this could be the ghost of my grandpa. I'd never met him, and his heavy smoking was what killed him. After finishing my conversation with Crystal I slammed the phone down as goo 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 emanated from downstairs. I sighed angrily. Do you need some cough syrup or something? I of course got no response. I'd been encountering this ghost for years, and in all that time, I'd never once seen its face. I'd only had hallucinations and seen parts of it, like its legs or arms. From what I could tell, it was a man. Sort of skinny, average height, grayish-white skin, a worn gray tank top, and green pants. But no shoes. He also never seems to be transparent. It's like he's really there. He casts a shadow and everything. Typically I see him during periods of sleep paralysis, and sometimes I have dreams about him, where it's like more than a dream. He's always just standing there staring at me, or at least I assume he is. Again, I've never seen his face. I angrily headed for the stairs and looked down. I didn't see any shadow moving away, as the light was cast at the stairs from around the corner. But I could hear shifting feet. Our basement is odd. The part you step into at the bottom of the stairs is finished, but to the right, there's this big unfinished part that's always dark, and full of boxes and bags ever since we moved. Sometimes I could sense the coughing ghost. Let's call him Jerry. I could sense Jerry in there sometimes, staring out at me blankly. What the heck does he want from me? Who is he? These questions circle my head every time I feel him nearby. One night, in fact, I awoke very late and saw my bedroom door closing. It was dark in the hall, too, and I could just barely make out a pale arm gripping the handle. My mom wouldn't have even been up yet, as it was 3:41 a.m. But anyway, back to the point. In my room, I decided, heck with this. So I headed back upstairs. I was almost to the top, when I turned and looked back down. Gua guaha, I was really steamed. Shut up, I yelled. There were 15 steps. I was almost at the top, with 2 more steps to go. I looked down the stairs again, and suddenly, there was only 1 step behind me. I looked up again, and there was the full 14 more ahead. Okay, you wanna fight, Jerry? I turned and rushed toward the dark area. Come out here and show yourself, I'm tired of this. No reply. I turned, and noticed a shadow heading up the stairs slowly. I snickered and hurried to the foot of the stairs. Jerry really sped up and got up to the top before I could see him. I could hear him walking across the kitchen floor. I'd never really heard his footsteps before, except when his feet are shifting and walking away from me, but today was special. I must have really pissed him off somehow. Did I breathe wrong? Suddenly the phone rang again, and I couldn't sense Jerry anymore. Then again, I don't really know how accurate my senses are about these things, but it's a feeling that I'm not alone. The phone kept ringing, so I rushed up to answer it. I looked at the ID. The screen didn't display anything like 555-555-5555, but instead it displayed 9. Nothing but the number 9. Unknown caller, and then the number 9. I didn't even answer it. But again, the ID did not keep track of the call, so I have no proof of any of these things. That's what bothers me. It's always when I'm alone that Jerry visits our house. He always has some weird hallucination to cause me. Once, I looked in the mirror and something was weird about my reflection. My eyes, they look bloodshot. I always get plenty of sleep, so what's up with that? Also, when I lifted my arm that same time, it took my reflection about half a second to do the same thing. I just wish somebody could tell me what they think Jerry wants. I'm tired of him, he annoys me, doesn't scare me anymore though, and I just wish he'd leave me alone.